Well, hello, everyone. We're going to get started in just a minute. What we're going to do is allow you to ask questions, say anything you want in the chat before we get started. We'll give everyone another minute or two to arrive. At the end, if there's any questions you have, we'll be unmuting you so we can do a live question and answer at the end. So we'll do that. But for now, any urgent things you want to remember to say, even during the presentation, comments, questions, things you want to discuss during the actual presentation, you have your chat. So you can write in whatever you need, anything you want to cover or reiterate from last masterclass, and or anything you want to make sure or you're wondering if it's going to be covered today. So say whatever you'd like. And we're just going to give everybody another minute here to join in. And we'll take it from there. So let's see here. Make sure I have all my notes and everything I need here. And it's good. So like I said, we'll just give everybody another minute just to join us, and then we'll get started. Okay, good. So then, good. Get my setup here. And good. All right, the book, the excellent. You got your book. Yay. I'm so glad it came quickly. So we're definitely going to be continuing on in the book. I hope you started reading it or at least snooping through. It's a great read. So make sure we're going to cover that for sure. Okay, good. And then excellent. So we're going to get into everything here. Okay, good. All right. Good. So first and foremost, official welcome to our second master class. And part of what we're going to be doing is tying in what we did last time. I'm not going to re-deliver all of last time, of course, but just kind of the highlights, as each master class is going to tie into what we talked about the time before, and then kind of build on the key concepts and really extrapolate all the information you're going to need. And so yeah, we're going to get into not only the book, but also some specifics about you, and get into the details of what I want to address and cover with you today. So the first thing I want to talk about is the mindset. So sometimes we'd like to get into the really cool, interesting things, and sometimes we forget about the fundamentals. And the biggest thing that I've noticed, or where patients don't do well on a program, and this is whether you're working with me or not, possibly some diets you've done in the past, is that the whole program or the journey was set up incorrectly. And I do want to talk a few minutes about that, because if you really haven't taken a look at that yet, and or it's always a great reminder, no matter how many times you take a look at it, as you know, your goals in your life changes. So we're going to be either visiting it for the first time and or revisiting it, just so that what your mindset is and your goals as far as your health and optimum health are concerned. And the reason this is so important is because, like I said, I see it go so wrong so often in other medical places, in weight loss programs, and even fellow colleagues of mine, is that you get too involved in just what you're going to be doing with the program. And of course, that's important. But all of this has to be tied to something. And so what I'm going to put up here is what we're going to be tying that to. And let me go I have all kinds of pretty pictures in that I'm going to share with you today. So let me just go find them. And this is one that we started talking about last time, and then I do want to get into in detail because it's so important. So it was mentioned, and I thought I had it open. I do apologize. Hold on one second. So technical difficulties. I have like 1,000 tabs and all kinds of wonderful things I want to show you and make sure we do it all. So good. So I think I have it now. And let me share that with you on the screen. Okay, good. And of course, it's not popping up. So hold on, let me go see. Sorry, I don't know where it is. Like where? It's right here. I see it. So why can't you see it? So good. So let me just let's see here. Good. Try this one more time. So sorry about that. Let's go share the screen, and it's just still not there. Let me see why it's not. You can look at the book picture of the book while I take a look here. There it is. Perfect. Okay, good. So the other one was, obviously we'll go back to that now that I showed it, the book, the Back to the Basics book. And highly encourage you, if you don't already own a copy of that, to get that. We will be talking from that book each time in the class, because there's so much great information in there. And it's really important. Now, what I want to focus on though to get started is this is something that we have all around the office, and every new patient gets this picture of this copy. And it's obviously your journey to success. And obviously, the top is what people think these journeys are going to look at. It's going to kind of be, a slight ski slope up, pretty mild, with this big goal or flag at the end. And what it really looks like is not only are there hills and valleys, but you can see it's more little milestone flags along the way. So that last flag, though it's there and it's at the top, it's also not all that big comparatively to what you've already gained and achieved along the way. So the bottom is more what success really looks like and what your wellness journey and your health journey is going to possibly look like. And it's not that I want this to be difficult or burdensome or, give you reasons to quit. It's just that as we go through and you're healing and rebuilding different layers, things are going to come up. And more than just even what the body's going to do to you, and what we're going to concentrate on a lot today is life is going to come up. So you might be going along nicely, and then all of a sudden it's someone's birthday and you're tempted to go out and have cheesecake and wine with the girls. And what's going to keep you motivated from doing that? So your mindset is very important. And then also what's most important out of that mindset is, what is your goal? And it's not just something like, oh, well, I want to lose weight. So first of all, that's not a goal. And that's also where you get into big trouble in the medical establishment and with these weight loss programs, is that if the terminology is even incorrect. So first of all, a weight loss program is a target. So when you should ask at the beginning of that is not what are your weight loss goals, it's like, what are your weight loss targets? And then what is the goal that you would achieve if that target was met? See the difference there? So the number on the scale is only a target you're going to reach on the way to the goal, in keeping with that success chart I just saw you. And the goal would be, what would life be like if that was the number on the scale? And how you're going to answer that for yourself is quite detailed. So taking a look at, if you had to write this out in paragraph form, and very importantly, and what we actually have our patients do, so you have clearly stated what it is you're trying to achieve, is could you put a picture of it on the refrigerator, and could it keep you motivated every day? And then, so if you had all this weight off, how would life be better, or how would life be different because the weight's now off? And this is something that you should be able to get a picture of that literally hangs on your refrigerator. Sorry. Some of the things you can ask yourself are, who would I be that I am not now if this health journey had been achieved? So whether that's weight loss, or hormone improvement, or acne is gone, or my mood is improved. It's not, they're not the goals. They are the symptoms that we're going to achieve on our way to the goal. So these are targets to be met. These are hurdles to overcome. And so if the hot flashes were gone, that would be the target. Check box, hot flashes gone. But the better question, the more important question is, how would life be better? Who would you be if you didn't have hormonal imbalances? Who would you be if you had the ideal weight on the scale? What would you be doing? That's a big one. What are you going to be doing if you have these improvements that you're not doing now? And then the final one is, what would you have that you don't have now? So whether that's better self-esteem, or you would have a better job, or you would be doing public speaking, or you would be the CEO of the company as opposed to the secretary. So if you had all of these health situations handled, all of these targets, and you had plenty of energy and your brain actually worked, and you could tolerate, some cranky people, and you could handle the upset on occasion with a boss or a spouse or a child. If all of these things you could now handle, what would you envision for yourself? And this is truly the goal that we're going for. And that would be a picture you can be put on your fridge. And the reason that is so important is because I can guarantee you there are going to be pitfalls along the way. That's why that success picture is so important. So I'm going to give you an example from my personal life on using that success chart, and we'll take a look at it so you can see. And I'm going to give you, I'm not going to make the whole thing about me, but I do want you to share a really like a true life example here. So if, let's see here, let's go. Good. So I'm going to put this on the screen so you can look at the success thing as I share and share the story. Okay, good. Perfect. So good. So let's go there. So you're going to see this. We'll come back to this, but this is what I want. All right. So one of my goals in life is I wanted to be a chiropractor. And when I was in junior high school, they told me like, okay, I started researching it out. You're looking at somewhere between 6 to 8 years of college and somewhere between, 125 to $150,000. And I'm like, yikes, I'm like in seventh grade and already I have obstacles and barriers. I haven't even started on this journey. And then the other thing is everything had to be pre-med. So here I am now making sure I'm in the academic curriculum, and I did all of the advanced place in medical and science and math classes in high school. And then actually, that was all just before undergraduate. And this was my first hurdle barrier. And then I had to overcome and achieve that. So small goals along the way that I was achieving on my journey to success. And then if that wasn't enough, then I'm actually in college and I did the undergraduate and now we're actually in chiropractic college. And at the time I was engaged and unfortunately that engagement came to an end. So that was horrible and there was crying and sleepless nights. And then I had to move out and we had to split up our entire lives. And it's a very painful process and had to give her the ring back. So it was a lot. And that could have been a reason why I'm like, that's it. This is too emotional for me. I quit college and that's the end. And I guess I'm not just going to be a chiropractor. I could have let that stop me, but I didn't. So then I moved out. I got a new place. I got a roommate and I'm moving forward. And unfortunately, PS, a few months later, found out my roommate was quite mentally unstable. So we had situations that I won't get into detail, but they were quite severe. They interfered again with my life, with my studying, my sleeping. And so I could have been like, that's it. I just quit. This is too hard and not pursued. And then later on into college, I'm up at school and I'm studying and I get the phone call, Lori, your grandfather just died. So what are you doing? You're packing up the car, you're driving home, you're going to the funeral. It's a terrible weekend. And then I was like, now I got to go back to school on Monday and then continue on. And then if that's not enough, finally, when I graduated, I was taking the boards. And what happened is that it was when cell phones were first coming out, they think someone had a cell phone in the exam and that there was cheating going on. So the board of health held up our actual licenses. So we couldn't get our license. We couldn't practice. Our student loans are coming due. It's like, and that's even after graduating. So there were all these barriers along the way. It wasn't a beautiful, pleasant ride. But it was totally worth doing. And so I kept my eye on the prize and I just kept overcoming these barriers and kept on going and kept on going to the point that it is those obstacles and that degree that allows me to be here and doing this masterclass with you this evening as a licensed healthcare practitioner in the state of Florida. So was it totally worth doing? Absolutely. 30 years later, that struggle is still giving back. And that's because it came down to my goals and my mindset, like this was going to happen. Now, how this relates to you is you're running into that on a smaller scale with eating right or doing the right thing or eating healthy, or what happens when there's a stressor in your life. And so what I did is I didn't literally hang a diploma on my wall because I didn't have one, but it was the idea of I wanted to graduate and be a graduate of chiropractic college. And that was what it literally was on my refrigerator. And so when you're having a bad day at work and you're tempted to come home and open the refrigerator and eat the leftover cheesecake or start, just eating the bottle of fudge on the side condiment thing on the side of your door in the fridge, what's going to prevent you from doing that? What is going to keep you so motivated and what's going to keep your mindset and what's going to be this picture on your fridge so that before you grab the handle to open, you're going to look at that and be like, I can't, I won't. So this is why we're talking about the mindset is so important, is that what's going to keep you motivated along the way? What's going to prevent you from feeling that you, quote, deserve the sugar if that you had a fight with your spouse? So we have it set up when you have a great day. What do? You celebrate with carbohydrates and bad food. And then also when you have a bad day, you treat yourself with carbohydrates and bad food. So it's a lose-lose. So we have to get out of the mindset of some of these traditional thinking patterns. And again, these are coming from over 100 years of lies and false information that have been taught to us in the health realm. So this goes back, your mother, your grandmother, and probably your great grandmother have been taught these bad things about health that are actually not true. And more importantly, than possibly the falsehoods that have implemented themselves into our health, our life, our lifestyle, our media, etc., is the biggest error I see associated with food and dieting and being healthy is the emotional component that people connect to food. And so when you were sad or you were sick when you were little, did mom or grandma give you treats, or did you get sugar, or whatever the case may be? Or when you had a really bad day or a sad day and you came home crying from school, was the reward then cookies or cake or ice cream or something sweet? That is really what's getting you into trouble more than the food item themselves. It's those things that are possibly triggers or actually just bad habits that have been passed down generation to generation to generation. So what we have to start taking a look at is what's a better way to reward ourselves. And I'm going to give you an example is, let's say for you, you have a car, and you're supposed to put fuel in the car. Now, if you have an electric car, different story. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But if you have a traditional car that uses fuel, then when you're having a good day, do you go to the gas station to celebrate and put gas in your gas tank? It's like, no, why would I put fuel in this machine that I didn't need? Or even worse, would you go put a can of soda or a piece of cheesecake down the tube there? It's like, no, you wouldn't. So the idea is taking a look. It's like your body is a machine and it needs to be taken care of a certain way, and you have to treat it that way. So depending on the type of car you have, not only should you be good at putting in correct quality fuel sources, you also need to be putting in the correct fuel. And that is one of the biggest mistakes in health and diet and nutrition, is that you need to determine what kind of machine you have. So if you are a diesel truck, you need to put diesel fuel in there. If you're a fuel injected car, you're going to be putting either 87, 89, or 91 as far as the quality of fuel. And if you're an electric car, you're not putting in any of those. So part of the journey is figuring out what particular car model you are and making sure that even when you are going to give the proper fuel sources, you know who you are. So if you are a very high-end Lamborghini, I don't think you want to be putting diesel fuel in there. And then if you have an electric car, then you don't want to be putting gasoline in there at all. You need to go to the charging station and plug in your car. And going back to the example of this emotional eating and these bad habits that you had learned, from parents and grandparents, etc., is what I'm trying to tell you is like, hey, you have this particular kind of machine, and this is what your machine wants. And it would be like if I said, okay, your car looks like, probably the 89 would be the best quality fuel to put in your car. And then you came to me and you're like, well, I don't want to put that in because it doesn't make me feel happy. And I'm like, what does the 89 gasoline have to do with how you feel or if it makes you happy? It's like, that's the kind of fuel that your car needs. Or they're like, well, I don't want to do the 89. I want to put that cool little charger station thing I see at Whole Foods for these electric cars. I want to put that in my gas tank. And I'm like, well, I wouldn't highly recommend it because you don't have that type of car. And that actually, from an electrical standpoint, that might be a little bit dangerous. But you're like, well, I don't feel happy when, I do the other stuff. And I'm like, well, food is not about being happy. We have an incorrect, improper connection to food. Now, does this mean you can't get joy out of food? No, but it means your food choices are going to need to change. So think about those foods that actually will bring you joy that aren't in the form of bad foods, chocolate, carbohydrates, sugar, etc. So for me, and this is a journey, for example, what I do is it's basically cheeseburger in a bowl. So you make a big cheeseburger, all kinds of cheese. You put the lettuce, the tomatoes, the onions. You put some kind of creamy sauce on. It's so yummy, delicious. And I put it in a big bowl and I feel like I'm being decadent. And yet I've actually ate absolutely healthy. So you still get that euphoric feeling after. It's like, wow, that was really fulfilling, but I didn't cause harm to the body in my decadence, so to speak. So you can do it, but some of the trick, and this is where that success graph and the journey comes, is it's not always going to be fun or easy to try and figure out which foods do it for you. So, what is there that's actually good for you that you might be willing to make your reward food? So it can't continue to be these bad habits. And how are you going to decide not to let the upset with your boss ruin your day? Or how are you going to let bad news or just stress in life not be your temptation for going into the fridge and eating the whole jar of fudge or whatever the case may be? So a lot of this comes back to the mindset and what habits that you're going to need to take a look at. And in order to help you with that, we have a free course. It's called your Find Your Why course. And in the chat, I'm going to put that link of what you can do and how you can help yourself with this situation. So this finding your why will help keep you motivated. It'll help get you focused. It'll help get you centered on what is most important for you. So again, going back, and I'll just show it one last time, is that chart of what does success really look like and how are we going to achieve that for you. So let me put that up on the screen here for you. Okay, good. And just as a reminder here, that's not what we want to do. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know. It's right here on my screen. I have to figure out why it's just not showing on your screen. I didn't have this much difficulty. We did this afternoon as well. Okay, there it is. So good. So wrong screen. So you have this again as a reminder. So this is something very important that we really need to focus on as far as the mindset, what would be best for you, and how you're going to achieve your goals for yourself. So we have that. And then let's see here. Let's see. Good. So then what we're going to do is we're going to move on now. So a few other things I want to make or make some comments on. And I will get the Find Your Why thing. So just give me a minute on that. And I want to go back and revisit something we had talked about last week is about, what the root causes of these things are and getting you in the right mindset. And the reason this is important is because to a large degree, you're asking of yourself, you're asking of other doctors and including me, the incorrect questions. So I want to let you know is some of the answers you're looking for on this wellness journey, you're not going to get because you're not asking what you need to be asking. And that's very important that we, get you asking the correct questions. So what we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to take a look at some things we looked at last time here. And let me get that for you. Good. And this is, again, the chart of what you really look like. Sorry about that. And this is what's going on inside your body. So these are all of the genes and the biochemical processes and the pathways. And what we do, unfortunately, is we get too caught up in all of these intricacies. And they're really cool. And one thing here is what I want to show you is this is actually how you read this chart, is that not only are these things happening, I'm so sorry. I'm having so many technical difficulties. I don't know what that's all about. But the cogs were supposed to spin. So you can see on this chart here that, it's not just a frozen chart. This is actually also a chart in motion. So all of these cogs and all these wheels that I just showed you here, they're spinning. So this is like a three-dimensional chart here doing all kinds of things simultaneously. It's not just sitting here stagnant. And though there's wonderful information on here, the problem with this chart is it's much like, for example, your smartphone. So when you went and smartphones became a thing and everybody got one, and you probably have one now, that was great. But the problem is that when you went to the store, what you were more concerned about are what are the benefits of this smartphone? Like, what can it do? The picture quality, all of that good stuff. And that's actually the most important things you should be asking yourself also about your health journey, or what are the benefits? That's this finding your why. Because people are getting too caught up in all of the significances of things that don't matter. And that means like the guy who works in the smartphone factory and all of the little pieces of like metal and little cards and SIM cards and hard drives, little mini pieces that make the phone work. And too much of your journey is researching out how the phone actually works. And let me tell you, that doesn't help you get any healthier any faster. So part of this mindset is not only knowing what you're trying to achieve, but making sure you continue to focus on those benefits and not, well, what about this particular long scientific word? And I read on it on Google. And what does that have to do with my liver? And it doesn't really matter to that degree. That's first of all my job. I am the phone nerd that works in the factory. So the consumer is not supposed to be worrying about how do you make the phone and what exact grade wire or thickness that I use in making that phone. These are the questions you're asking about your health. It's the mistake that all these social media influencers are making. They're trying to teach you how to make the phone. And you don't want to learn how to make the phone. You want to learn how to use the phone. So you go into this app, and this is how you take great pictures, and this is how you change your the ringtone, or you make it silent, and this is how you do this, and how you share pictures instantaneously with friends. You're not concentrating on the benefits. So you're getting too mired down, too bogged down in the insignificances. And that's the job of the people who own the factory, to worry, does this piece of wire do the trick? And is it going to last? And is this the correct battery? And is it going to communicate with the different boards and little wires and pieces of machinery within the phone? So we need to get you looking at what's more important, which again is the mindset. And then also the things that are going to prevent temptation, what's your picture on the refrigerator, what's going to keep you going on the bad days, what are going to be your reward foods that aren't in the form of sugar and candy and carbohydrates. So what are we going to be doing that's going to work for you? So that's what's key. And why, to a large degree, with these things not being in place, why you have possibly failed on previous diet plans or nutritional protocols, or you're do it yourself, or possibly even working with other nutritionists, is because this goal and this mindset wasn't set up correctly. All right. So what we're going to do now is I do want to give you some details of the fundamentals in nutrition and diet and health that you do need to know. And I'm going to be reading some very simple explanations of these things. And there's three key areas. And the problem a lot with diet and health and nutrition is that there's a lot of cool, wonderful things you can know, but they really don't help you get healthy any better or any faster. And usually it comes down to kind of the boring fundamentals that nobody really wants to learn or know or review. But if you ask any professional football player, you ask any master pianist, you ask any master chef, or anybody who's a master at anything, the question is like, what's it like to do all those cool, wonderful things? And how did you get so wonderful? And their answer is always going to be, I'm a master of the basics. I'm a master of the fundamentals. So we need to do that with you, because you would probably, not that you're not doing great on your own health journey, but you'd probably be even doing better if you had taken the time, or even more time, on mastering the fundamentals. And so I'm going to share some things with you, and hopefully a way that is kind of a way you haven't heard before. And let me see here. Good. All right. So we're going to be working with three key nutrient things that your body works on. And the first one here is what your body needs first and foremost, surprise, surprise, is protein. So we're going to be talking about these in the order as well. And so protein comes from the Greek word proteos, meaning forward and in the beginning. So the first thing. So that's what the pro in protein means. And what it actually represents in the body is this is the first thing the body wants, and the body wants to utilize. So when you're asking yourself, what should I be eating? What should I be doing? Protein should be first. And then protein is responsible, interestingly enough, for the following things. And this is where you're missing how important the fundamentals are. Your protein actually helps you make enzymes. So anyone who has a digestive problem, you probably have an enzyme deficiency. And if you have an enzyme deficiency, because enzymes are made from protein, I also know you're not eating enough protein. The one that everybody's shocked by is protein also helps you make hormones. So all of these hormone imbalances, and is it a hormone imbalance? And everyone's always asking me how to fix their hormones. I'm like, most of the time, you don't actually have to fix the hormone itself. You have to fix why there's an imbalance in the first place. And many times it's due to the fact that the person isn't eating enough protein. So you're like, you're kidding me? I can handle some of my hormone imbalances by eating more protein. And the answer is yes. Whether you get it at 100% or not, that's a different story, because there are a few other components. We're just trying to drive home the point of how you've not thought of food correctly as far as what it really needs and what it really does. So it helps you digest better. It helps with brain function. It helps your hormones, as we had just said. So there's definitely places that you're not thinking with that this protein is so important beyond just the fact that it builds, skeletal muscle. So biceps, triceps, etc. And it is the key, and it is the one that's quote in first place. Now, does this mean I want you on a keto diet or a paleo diet or living on cheeseburgers? Absolutely not. That is only one part of the whole entire equation, but a very important part, and is the one you should be thinking of first. There's also 8 essential amino acids that you cannot get unless you get it from animal sources. And this is a big debate with this whole plant-based and vegetarian, all these fad diets. You cannot get these 8 essential amino acids from anything from animal products. And then everybody's like, well, I'll just take a vitamin or I'll just take it in supplement form. And the problem is no, you won't, because those are plant-based. So you're getting back to just an incomplete portion of that essential amino acid. So these animal-based proteins are essential for life in order to get your body to work well. The second one that you need to be concentrating on here is fats. And fats are also known as essential fatty acids, and they're also known as lipids. Lipids, they're usually called when you're looking at cholesterol in your blood work. But your fats are actually, according to science and nature, they are actually your key source of energy. So there's a debate about the whole carbohydrate and fat, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But protein, absolute nutrient, and then secondly, fat is actually the preferred source of energy for the body. So there are only certain nutrients that certain parts of your body can utilize. And what your body prefers is that it likes to create and utilize its energy out of fat. And so in the actual center of each one of your cells, and 30 trillion of them, by the way, the most important way to get fat and energy is by eating fat. So when someone tells me I'm tired or fatigued or I don't have enough energy, I already know they're not eating enough fat. Now, it might not be as simple as that. They might not be metabolizing the fat. They might be eating the incorrect kind of fat. There's all variables. But what I know is an absolute, if you tell me you're tired, I know you're not eating enough protein, or I'm sorry, fat. If you tell me you are having a hormonal imbalance, I already know we don't have enough protein. So it's coming up with the magic ratios of those without it becoming a fad diet. And then just like the car example, is giving you the right fuel source. So maybe it's an 87 ratio as the gasoline is of protein and fat. Maybe you're a 91, maybe you're a diesel ratio, but the whole idea is finding out the correct balance of fat and protein that's correct for you. And the biggest mistake we'll all make is the third most key important nutrient that works in the body is the carbohydrates. And carbohydrates, interestingly enough, were supposed to be originally used in your body as your backup system. And the whole idea was to never need them. And we have it completely reversed in modern day. So your body literally can live without carbohydrates. If it ran into a famine, or there was the crop didn't grow that year, or you're a caveman and you haven't found any food in days, the body was designed to use carbohydrates as plan B, not plan A. And then the whole idea, even when the body got to the need of plan B, if it gets desperate enough, it can take fat and protein and turn it into carbohydrates. So this whole argument that, oh, well, I need a certain amount of carbs per day for energy, I just told you, biochemically, you actually don't. So if you treated the body more like a machine and then actually put in the proper fuel source based on protein being first, fat second, and then your carbohydrates third or not existent at all, then this would lead to the machine working better, symptoms going away. The question becomes not knowing what to eat is what are you going to do from a goal and a mindset to prevent yourself from being tempted to eat the carbohydrates. It was a rough day at work, a bad day with your boss. You ran out of time. You forgot your lunch at home. So what are you going to go eat that still falls into those categories and not use the excuse, I didn't have anything else to eat but cookies out of the vending machine or whatever the excuse may be. And this is what's going to be the true success on the long term of your health journey. So important. Now what I want to do, I want to get into this next book here, the Back to the Basics. So we're going to read a little bit in there as to what's important and what we need to do. So we had a few that we did already. And we're going to pick up on page 4. So in addition to the foods that you need to eat, there's also some other problems, because I'm sure you're asking what about vitamins and minerals and nutrition and supplements. That's all coming. That's part of the master class. We'll start talking about today and in detail for sure at the next one. But some problems that you're going to be running into and out of the book as far as why you're so unhealthy, and despite eating a healthy diet or the correct diet, and even possibly doing this protein, fat, carbohydrate thing that I said, how come I still have symptoms? Why am I still not perfectly healthy? So there's a few other answers, and we go back to this book. And here it says, first and foremost, it's caused, number one, by the lack of food quality, which started with deforestation, which is meaning chopping down the trees on our land. And it's not a direct nutritional deficiency. I don't chop down a tree and then I become nutritional deficient. It's kind of the domino effect of what goes wrong in between. So when you don't have trees in the ground, you cannot hold the beautiful soil that the first 2 feet is where most of the nutrition comes from anything you eat, your vegetables, etc. So if there's no trees to help keep that beautiful soil in the ground, it becomes dry, it becomes desert, it becomes sand, it blows away in a tornado. And so you no longer have land that's able to be farmed. So we have the problem of the amount of trees that we have knocked down. We have changed the wind patterns on this planet. There's more wind coming through and it wipes out the topsoil. And then, as you know, there's been problems for centuries in the Midwest with their crops and not growing them. So part of that is because of a decent amount of the trees that we have chopped down. So we have to, take a look at that. And if that's not enough, what we also have now is all the pollutants, the chemicals, the toxins that are creating the situation. So we'll talk about that a little bit more detail in just a moment. The next thing we have is about beyond the poor farmer losing possibly his trees and having some damaged soil is incorrect farming methods. So what we do now is not how we used to plant food or grow it hundreds or thousands of years ago. We have now been inundated by chemical treatments of our foods in the form of pesticides, fungicides, fertilizers, all of these things. And that the traditional farming methods actually allowed these protective measures to be in the soil. So the thing that protected your plant against bugs was in the ground. And then when the plant grew, it came up in. It was from inside, not from the outside. So the need to use pesticides, fertilizers, and these things came about once we already started destroying our crops and not having the adequate nutrition in the soil, in the ground, to protect it in its innate natural way. The second part of that is then it became not cost effective, let's say. And then these chemical companies now are making billions of dollars on pesticides and these treatments. So from a financial standpoint, they don't want the farmer doing all natural organic methods because they're not making a profit. And then in turn, the farmer can only raise so much. That's why organic food is more expensive, is you can't raise it as quickly or as fast. But the problem is then the foods you're buying are not truly actually healthy foods. They're fake green. They're fake grown. They look good, but they have no nutritional value due to the lack of quality soil and these quickened farming methods that are now being used across the country. And then some of them are actually not even being grown on a farm. They're in a plant in a little dish that has water underneath, but basically no nutrition or vitamins or nutrients in it. So these things are what's getting us into trouble. And the problem is you think the government would have come to our rescue. It's like, hey, wait a minute, we're harming the health of our people. The problem is their financial investment and the money that is to be made is far surpasses anything that they're worried about or can be concerned about with the human and the individual, which is quite unfortunate. And the reason for that is because you cannot, you cannot patent rock or dirt or dust. They can't sell it because it's just nature. It's just lying around all over the place. So they need to come up with things that don't exist in nature, and then they sell it and they convince you and they convince the farmer that you need this in order to sell a product. So you're often being fooled by the quality of the product and what's actually in there. So for an example, one of the things is you have to become a better label reader because they try and fool you in the labels. And again, we're going to be talking about this in detail in the next master class. So something that's made with flaxseed oil as opposed to something that's made from flaxseed oil, the with and the from are kind of their merchandising and their marketing ploys to get you to buy things that you think are healthy. So when they say it's made with flaxseed oil, That means about 99.9% of that product is something else with a little bit of flaxseed oil thrown in at the end. When you read a label, the foods on the label or the nutrients are listed in the order of the amount. So usually you'll see this flaxseed oil, it's the last ingredient, which means it's the least amount. What you want is something made from flaxseed oil, and then you need to know it's a true and genuine product. But these are the things that they don't want you to know, and they're doing this on purpose. So the farmer is, I feel bad for the farmer because he's trying to feed a family. He's trying to make a dollar. The government is stepping in and telling me that he has to implement these farming methods or they're shutting down his farm. So he has to make a choice, and whatever choice he makes, unfortunately, it's our detriment. So this is why we have to do on our own, again, with the success graph of the pitfalls and the barriers and the obstacles and why it's so hard to be healthy. You have to start taking a look at your finances and see how you are going to afford buying the $1 to $2 more per pound spinach and these other things. So there definitely is a financial barrier that has to be overcome. And then just the convenience or inconvenience of these foods, it's another obstacle that has to be overcome. And the only thing that's going to keep you motivated and keep on the road to better health and optimum health and complete symptomatic relief is having that picture on your refrigerator reminding you every day why you're doing this in the first place. It's not to get to a number on the scale. It's like, who are you going to be? What are you going to do? And what are you going to have that you aren't being or doing or having now? That these are the answers to the question of what's going to keep you motivated. So they are at quite a compromise. If that's not bad enough, then all of these pesticides, fungicides, fertilizers, they're all running off. They're in the form of poisons that are getting soaked into the ground. They're going down into our wells. So when people tell me, oh, Dr. Lori, I drink quality water, I have a well. And I'm like, no, it's probably just as bad, if not worse, because that's where all of these poisons, fungicides, pesticides, etc., from the past 100 years accumulate, is in the waters below the earth. And then eventually, as you know, there's the water system below the Earth's crust that these get into our rivers and our oceans. So it's everywhere. So whether you use the fertilizer or the pesticide or not, or our country did or not, it's universal. And then it goes into the oceans, it goes up into the atmosphere as clouds, comes back down as rain, and you're getting it no matter how you slice it. So these are definitely detriments to making your job of being healthier even more difficult. So I hear you. So the problem is that, again, we have to take it upon ourselves. So we now know we're being inundated with this convenience life, what we're being sold or told on TV that isn't true. And then all the advocates that should be taking, having our best interests at heart, they do not. So it's the innate intelligence of the body that's really going to shine through, that when you actually recognize the fuel and the fuel source you should be putting in your machine, that's where you're going to start getting the health benefits. That's where the symptoms go away, and that's part of the journey. So next time in the next master class, we're going to get into that in detail as far as the different supplements, how to be a better label reader, what to do about it. You're going to get some resources on all of that. So I have some beautiful pictures and things I want to share with you there. And then we have the whole information about everything about the success. And then just as a reminder here, I want to go back one more time because it's so important here, is this chart, like I said, is being careful and making sure that the things that really are going to get you healthy, you're asking of what you want to do here. So give me 1 second here. So this is a great one. This is the anything can cause anything as far as the organs and systems. And then as a reminder, just going back to this one, is just how complicated the body is. This is my job, remember, to know, not necessarily yours. What I need you to do is focus on your goals, your successes, the mindset, like what's going to keep you motivated there. And I lost that picture again. It doesn't like me today. So I'll get it one more time. I don't know why, but let me just go get that success thing. SUCCESS. Good. S, it doesn't like me. SU. Hold on, I'll find it here. I want to get that for you. Okay, perfect. So going back to the success chart. So again, so much of your health journey is not the fun, exciting things I'm going to be sharing with you in this class. It's not the things, the cool scientific nerdy stuff we might talk about. That's all cool and wonderful and exciting, but doesn't really help you get any better. I can tell you the most perfect clinical pearl for your hormones, but if you can't get yourself to stop opening the refrigerator and eating the cheesecake because you had a bad day at work, there isn't any clinical pearl I can give you for those hormones that are going to make the difference. The next thing I want to do, and then what we're going to do in just a minute, we're going to open it up to a question and answer. So if there's questions, chats, things you want to say, what we're going to do is I want to get you the link to that Find Your Why course. So if you want to take just a moment, if there's any questions that you have, you can start thinking about those. Anything you want to discuss more than what we went through tonight. Definitely what we're going to be doing is continuing on in the book. So if you haven't purchased the book, let me get you the link to buy the book so you have that. And then also that course, and we'll get you all set up and making sure that you have everything you need to be as healthy as possible. So this is that Back to the Basics book. If you haven't ordered it already, if you have it, again, there's the link to that. And then we're also, like I said, we'll give you the Find Your Why course. So just give me a second to go get that. So let's see here. Let me see. Good there. Let me see. So the success chart. So let me show the success chart one more time. Someone didn't see that. So let me get that. I'll share that with you one more time. So good. Okay, good. So let's go. You're going to see a sticky note. That's not going to help you at all. Let me go get to the thing you want. So there's the success chart. So if you're watching at home, what you can do is if you're on your phone or whatever, I would have you screenshot that so you have it, take a picture or on your computer. So we have it in the office. You can ask us to email a copy, and literally we have it all over the office. It's in every new patient packet. It's, we have it in the treatment rooms hanging on the wall because it is so important to your journey is what success really looks like. So I hope that helped you in some way. Good. So anybody have any questions about anything we covered today? Oh yeah, you don't want to see my sticky note. So that's, yeah, nothing important there, nothing fun or exciting there. So hold on. All right. Sorry about the sticky note there. So just notes to myself. So anybody have any questions, you can punch those in the chat. What can I also do is if you want, I can unmute everyone. You can yell out your questions. So you're all now unmuted. So anybody have anything you want to put in the chat, anything you want to add or ask, anything you disagree with too. What I want to make sure is that if I make a comment that for this class and or for the future classes, if you want to know more about it and then be like, where did you come up with that information? I want to make sure, remember, I'm just a disciple of this work. I don't consider myself the source. So if you have any questions or anything you want, we can talk about that. So you have microphones there. So anybody have anything they want to say? I'll unmute you. You can unmute yourself. But we do have a question here. The amount of protein daily. So very good question on the amount of protein. So the first thing is, as far as the amount, the question is it the size of a fist, ? Actually, your stomach is the size of your fist. So yes, if you're going to eat, definitely do not eat any more than the size of your fist because that's how large your fist is. Yeah, definitely not overeating. So you can make that all protein. So if you want on the plate, you can just eat a piece of protein that's the size of your fist. You can absolutely do that. A little bit boring, but you can do it. What I like to do is spice it up, as I'm sure you agree, a little bit of fat, a little bit of butter, maybe a little side, not even a salad, but just some lettuce, tomato, or a little bit of yummy something, vegetables on the side. So adequate protein by definition, and this is adequate, this is not going to be universal, is somewhere around, if you're going to measure it out, is 100 grams per day. So people are like, wow, that's not enough because of the life I live. And that's exactly why I said the word adequate. So if you did want to make sure you had enough floating around for everything in your bloodstream to share and a little bit left over for enzymes and these hormones and the other things we need, you're looking at a minimum of about 100 grams per day. The great thing about protein is you really can't overdo it. It's self-limiting. So I've never heard of anybody being able to overeat protein. You can overeat potato chips and overeat cookies, but protein is for the most part pretty self-limiting. And that's a huge part of my program is teaching you how to listen to your body. I think I mentioned this last time. I consider myself somewhat of a body whisperer, is that helping you decipher what your body's trying to tell you. And the Problem is everybody's body's different. So I just need you to share in the form of symptoms or problems or complaints or interesting phenomena that happened since the last time we chatted, is what has been happening. And a lot of them there is once you decipher the code of your body, that's where your wellness journey becomes your own. So then, as launching a child and setting you out into the world, so to speak, I can trust you. And I know between your motivation of what's going to keep you motivated when you're on vacation or life gets the better of you, that you're not going to fall off the rails. You're going to stay on that journey and get to the last flag. And then also just your little tricks and hacks of what we've discovered about your body. So just let me give you an example of one so you know what I'm talking about. If your stomach's growling, there's a good chance it actually isn't hungry. It actually might mean you're dehydrated. So when you're trying to lose weight and you're not sure if you're hungry or you're not hungry or what is this growling and I'm trying to stick to my diet, so to speak, the first thing I would do is drink a glass of water and see if the hunger growling goes away. If it does, it means you were dehydrated and actually not hungry. And the problem is the body doesn't have two different ways to tell you it's thirsty versus it's hungry. It just, you get growling. So it would be nice if it growled one way for water and one way for food, but it doesn't. So these are the little tips and tricks and things we're going to be discussing, and you can learn along the way as far as what we're going to do. So we're going to be sharing those in detail. So let's take a look if we have anything else. We do. Okay, good. Let's see. With psoriasis or Hashimoto's being immune system illnesses, should you avoid red meat or eggs? And if they have inflammatory chemicals in them? Yes. So anything that would cause inflammation, such as chemicals and poisons, etc. Yes. But interestingly enough, the best anti-inflammatory is actually fat. So anyone who has these different autoimmune illnesses and has inflammation, that's another secret we didn't talk about, but that's another thing the fat does, is it's a natural anti-inflammatory. So anyone who has inflammation, I know they have a fat deficiency. The protein, not really. If it's a good quality grass-fed beef, it shouldn't cause that inflammatory reaction. It's usually your more commercial beef that's going to do that. So the quality of the food matters, but definitely any inflammation, I'm always thinking fats first. So that might be a person, we were talking before, you would be doing either more fat than protein or equal amounts of fat and protein. And that's where the personalized natural health improvement program that I do with my patient comes into play. Is for this masterclass, I can only give you the rule of thumb. It may or may not be true of you at all. Maybe your digestive tract is so destroyed that we might actually have to go make you a vegetarian for 30, 60, 90 days because your body can't digest or metabolize fat or protein. So rule of thumb is I know what's going on nutritionally, but the whole idea is knowing the sequence and when to add those things in. And it's definitely not simultaneously. So it's getting the bad out first and then putting the good in second. So that's a little bit of a trick question, but that's the rule of thumb as far as the nutrition. Okay, good. Okay, so the next thing is 100 grams of protein is a lot. Okay, good. It's like I said, that's about the average. So when you start, like really, we encourage our patients to track their diet. It's actually not a lot. You will be getting hungry depending on what kind of protocol or program we design for you. But 75 grams, 100 grams, that's pretty much the average of protein per day. That means you're not eating all these other bad foods, because trust me, you will get hungry and you'll be thankful that you're allowed to have 100 grams per day. So you definitely can use that as a guide. And then let's see here. The next one is, can you eat too much vegetables? You can actually overdo anything, yes, because if you're eating so much of one food that you're totally eliminating another food group, that's actually a bad thing. So if you're just living on salads and not doing anything else, you're going to run into protein and fat deficits. If not that you ever would, but if you're living on sticks of butter and not doing anything else, you might go a little nutritional deficient in some things that you should be getting from these other food sources. So the whole thing that we're doing is you have to learn words like balanced. And it sounds so cliche, but you need to eat a balanced diet. The problem is the definition of what the FDA has told you balanced is actually not a balanced diet. It's a balance of the proper amount of proteins and fats primarily, with some vegetables right behind and carbohydrates and dead last. So that's kind of, quote, a balance. But getting those exact numbers is something we can do. And I work with you one-on-one as a patient to know exactly, is it 75, 95, 102? What is the exact number that are your magic numbers? And everyone's just a little bit different. So great question. Is there a certain type of enzyme you need to reduce the childhood eczema? instead of taking the shots. So yes, the idea is you need to get at the root cause of the eczema, which may or may not be due to enzymes at all. So remember, on that really wicked chart I showed you, literally anything can cause anything. And I'll just bring it up because that is such a great thing. I can't reiterate this enough. So why do you have eczema? Why do you have hot flashes? Why do you have anything you have? Is I don't know. The answer is somewhere on this chart. It could be due to a B12 deficiency. It could be due to a histamine reaction. It could be due to the fact that you don't metabolize estrogen correctly. It could be toxic kidneys. It could be any one of these purple genes. It could be any one of these gray pathways. It could be any black word on this chart. So that's what we're trying to drive home here is you just don't know. That's why you have to do a personalized natural health improvement program. We do a body examination and we do functional medicine lab tests because that is what makes you you, is figuring out the algorithm or the complex calculus question and coming up with the equation that answers why do you have eczema? Why do you have hot flashes? And literally, I have seen it be everything under the sun. So I have never, literally in 30 years, ever had two people on the same protocol ever. Never, never, never. Because each individual body is just as significant and intricate as your DNA and your genetics. There are no two people that are genetically the same. Therefore, there are no two people who need the exact same diet nor the exact same nutritional protocol. So it could be enzymes, could be anything else. So great question, but it's hard to answer. Okay, good. The charts, what we'll do is if you're here, we will send out those charts to you so you have it. So I'll email it to the group. I do want you to have those for motivation. I'll send out the link. I'll get that in just a second for the Find Your Why course. You can have the success picture. So yes, these are like, though they're proprietary materials and my name is on and they're copyrighted, I will share them with you because it's more about the greater good than I'm worried about if you photocopy a chart. If it's going to help your best friend at work or your sister lose weight or do a program with me or handle her hot flashes, great, photocopy the picture and get it everywhere because this is the information that you should have been taught in your kindergarten nutrition class, what the food pyramid and the charts and the information that you really needed. So yeah, we'll get you all that information for sure. Okay, good. The question, last question here we have is, what causes the lactose intolerance as you get older? So the question is it a pre-probiotic thing? Remember, anything can cause anything. So what causes the lactose intolerance is some digestive dysfunction that starts either in the mouth, it could be the stomach, it could be in the liver, it could be your large and small intestine, it could be in your pancreas. So depending on what organ and system is the organ that is breaking down digestively, it could be a prebiotic or a probiotic. It could be enzymes. It could be, anything. It could be hydrochloric acid. It could be a detox thing. It could be that your stomach doesn't squish enough to break down the dairy products. So it could be a mechanical thing. It could be the muscles in the stomach lining, which is, that's the case, it's still a nutritional deficiency. Your muscles get slowed down and stop working when they don't have enough of the raw materials to do that squishiness. So again, anything can cause anything. And the idea, we would need to find out what the true cause of it is. But in the meantime, listen to your body's communication. And if you don't do well with dairy, you have to stop eating it. But then secondarily, you do have to get at the root cause, which again, can just be just about anything. Okay, good. The next question we have here, good. We have another one coming in here. Taking in a spoon of the coconut oil, butter. I heard A2 without the A1 protein is not inflammatory animal fat. Hold on, I read this, grass-fed, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Good. Good. Excellent. So yes, I think the question and the answer there is like, what if I wanted to do just a pat of butter or a tablespoon of coconut oil? Is it an incomplete fat? Do I need to worry about depleting the other ones? And can I do that? So long as you're eating good quality, healthy ingredients, yes, the body is smart enough, thank goodness. And this is where the innate intelligence of the body works for you, is that if it sees some good quality stuff coming in, and whether it's quote complete or not complete. So maybe it's some poultry and there's not enough of the 8 essential amino acids in it, or it's a fat and maybe it's not the best quality fat. I mean, as far as the nutrients in it, not saturated or margarine or things of that nature. Babies, the body's like, you know what? This coconut oil has some of what we need, but not all of what we need. Go for it. because the body can share. It could be like, you know what, we're going to shift this here and there. I'm so thankful she ate the coconut oil, but we have to call upon someone is like, yo, let's go up to the brain and tell it, go grab us some fats from here or there. So when you're doing with good quality food, the body will do it and keep it in balance in a positive way for you. When you're doing it with bad quality food, like refined foods, those trans fats and things of that nature, that works against the body. So you don't have to necessarily worry about eating a complete protein or fat every meal, every day. The body is designed to work in about 21-day increments. So if you did a great this week and not so hot the next week, it can kind of share or seal from the week before. The problem is if you do that consistently, then you get yourself into trouble. And that's what the modern diet is doing, is it's day after day, week after week of refined carbohydrates, junk food, pesticide, fertilized, chemicalized foods that after 5, 10, 15, 20 years of this, the body's like, I don't have anything left to give you. So yes, the body is smart enough to kind of share, steal, compromise, modify, and make an incomplete amino acid or an incomplete fat complete. So if you're going to be doing that, just throw it in and the body will just use it to her advantage. So great question. Okay, good. Let's see here. Good. So thoughts on raw milk? I love raw milk as long as you can digest it and it's good for you. Some people truly have a dairy intolerance, but raw milk is great because all of the natural cofactors and enzymes that make milk, and it's actually for people who are milk intolerant or dairy intolerant. It's usually a better way to go. Because one of the reasons you become intolerant is because you didn't leave in these natural factors. So raw milk still has the natural cofactors and enzymes to help your body digest it. So a lot of foods, like I said, they're inherently created by nature with the brilliance already put in there. Man has destroyed that and taken it out. So let me give you a great example of that is the cholesterol in eggs. So everybody's panicking about cholesterol and how much is cholesterol in eggs and do I need to worry about that? And in the design of eggs, in the cholesterol, which is in the yolk, there's an abundance of a substance that helps you break down and cancels out the cholesterol, and it's called choline. But choline, when you do modern eggs or commercialized eggs, the choline is one of the things that are wiped out in this traditional farming process that we were talking about. So an egg from 100 years ago had enough choline to counterbalance out the cholesterol. So if you're worried about cholesterol, one, it's not an issue, but two, even if you are, part of the reason you're so worried and why it could potentially cause problems with you is because there's not enough choline in there. So it's all these tricks and hacks of what's been done to our food sources that are really getting us into trouble. And that's, again, we're going to be focusing on that in great detail next time we get together on that information. Okay, good. Wonderful. So thank you for all the great information. You are very welcome. Part of this process, like I said, is not only to give you great nutritional advice, but also, like you said, the mindset. And I'm going to be working on that. You need to work about what your goals and purposes are as far as your mindset. But yes, I'm going to help you take some of the pressure off yourself. I'm going to tell you when to worry and then also when not to worry. Is remember, your body works more in days, weeks, and months. You work on a 24-hour clock. And then the mistake we make is applying that 24-hour clock to the body. It's in there doing things day to day, week to week, month to month that have nothing to do with happened within that one time that, we spun around in our 24-hour day. So the mistake we're making is applying the Earth's clock to the body clock. And they're absolutely two different clocks, which is part of what I teach on learning and teaching you how to understand and talk to your body. So one last thing I want to do, let's see here if I can find, I lost the link to the Find Your Why course, but I do want to see if I can find that quickly. So if you're still with me, I will do that. And then if not, what we'll do is for everyone who's here, we will send out I'll send out an email to everyone and get you that information. But if you want to hang tight, I'll see if I can't find that quickly. So it's like, sorry for all the technical difficulties. I was like, I had all these things set up today. I did this, webinar earlier today and no technical difficulties. And then all of my pictures and everything was just completely just going, I don't know where. So if you're still with me, what I will do, I'll show the pictures one last time. I'll send you the link quickly here. So just hang tight so I can get that. So hold on. Internet being a little slow here. And why are you not going to where I need you? Good, thank you. Sorry. You know, do you ever notice a computer when you need it to work, that's when it doesn't? So you're like all nervous and trying to get it to work. And then it's like, that's when it's like, nope, we're not going to do what we need. I'm like, awesome. Thank you for just completely throwing me under the bus. So here's the link for the Find Your Why course that I would encourage you all to do and take. So that's coming your way. So you have the Find Your Why course. Earlier up in the chat, I gave you the Back to the Basics books. Okay, good. And the last thing here is the picture to success. So I'm going to just share that with you one last time. And so you have that and you're good to go. So otherwise, quick, take a snapshot of that and have a great night. Bye, everyone.